Ladies and gentlemen, it has been way too long. A lot of stuff has gone on in the wrestling world, but you know what? I'm ready to get back on the horse. I'm Gabe Giannis. This is a month of Mondays. All right, guys, I know it's been a lot of weeks since I've been on the show. You know, a lot of stuff has gone on. The holidays happened. We've had sickness in our house. And, I'm going to be really upfront with you guys. I've been dealing with some pretty severe depression. I've been talking to people. I'm getting some help. And you know what? This is a really good first step for me to get back on the horse and keep doing this show. I love doing it, and I want to keep doing it. So here we go. Let's do a month of Mondays, guys. This last week, a lot of interesting stuff happened. Let's start off with WWE. Of course, Becky Lynch's suspension ahead of her match with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35. I mean, what can we say? It's definitely some kind of work, right? They're not going to steal from us yet another Becky Lynch match. I just have at least the smallest shred of faith in the WWE that they wouldn't do that to us. But the little bits where Becky Lynch got to slap Stephanie McMahon in the face and, give a little pop to Triple H, and just the way it's been worked is really enjoyable. I'm loving the crap out of it. And frankly, you guys have heard it, I've touted my love of God Queen Lynch on the show many, many times already. I am very, very excited for what's going on with this. It's genuinely one of the only things that I'm super interested in when it comes to the WWE. Obviously, a lot of stuff is going on ahead of WrestleMania, ahead of Elimination Chamber and whatnot, but this is the thing that I'm really jazzed about. I'm excited to see what they do with Lynch on the way to WrestleMania and how they work in this injury. If it's not a work, that sucks. If Lynch is genuinely injured, that's going to blow, but I haven't seen or heard anything different than this is a great storyline that they're doing. But now I want to move away from WWE almost immediately, because the really exciting things that are happening in the world of wrestling, in my personal opinion, aren't really happening in the WWE. So, tons of the big news, obviously, is going to be coming from All Elite Wrestling, Cody and the Young Bucks project that is getting more and more steam, literally, as every day goes by. The big news, of course, is that Kenny Omega has declined to sign with WWE and New Japan, and he is jumping on that AEW bandwagon. This is a big deal. People have assumed that it was going to happen, but it wasn't confirmed until this week. And frankly, you may not, if you are just a casual WWE fan, you might not know who Kenny Omega is, but I'm telling you, in the world of wrestling, this guy is one of the best in the world today. I love Jim Cornette, but no matter what Jim Cornette says, he is one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world. You might ask me why I think that, and this is why I think that. He takes wrestling in a very serious way to be less of this old school mentality of how can we make it just beat them up and fight, and more of this art form that we're seeing in the world of modern wrestling. And I know that rankles a lot of people. I know that there's a lot of folks that just want wrestling to go back to old school wrestling, but at this point, it is an art form. It is, in a lot of ways, a type of performance art, and I think Kenny Omega is doing this combination of those two things, where it is pure athletic performance combined with great storytelling and a character that he truly believes in, that he is 100% behind. Kenny Omega, for me, is going to be this linchpin that is AEW. I'm very excited to see what they do. I'm very excited to see how any kind of TV deal turns out or where that's going to go. And of course, Double or Nothing should be aces. You know, it should be genuinely one of the cooler, I mean, it should be one of the cooler pay-per-views that happens in this year, just like, just like All In was. So I do want to talk a little bit about somebody else that signed to AEW, and this is a really big deal too. Nyla Rose signed to All Elite, and she is one of the first, well, she is the first trans wrestler to be signed by a Major League Wrestling promotion. Like, this is a big deal. This is a game changer in the, you know, LGBTQ community, or as I've known it through all of my years, just the straight queer community. You know, this is awesome. Like, this is a really amazing step forward where AEW is saying, we're going to take the risks. We're going to jump on the ideas that are amazing now, that people are excited about now, and we are going to step out into realms that the other major promotions maybe aren't willing to step out into, especially the WWE. Here's this juggernaut of a corporation that is held in the iron grip of a man that still thinks a dude pissing his pants at ringside is hilarious. And, like, sure, on a super sophomoric level, yeah, that is kind of funny. But the reality is, it is ridiculous, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't move forward, why wrestling can't become more modern, why wrestling can't become more like what I was saying with Kenny Omega, why it can't become a more intelligent, a more, you know, straightforward storytelling venue. A show like Lucha Underground's doing it. Impact's doing it with some of their storylines. AEW, you know, in their genesis as being the elite, is doing it. The way the NWO has been presenting 10 pounds of gold. All of those things are these steps forward to modernizing and turning wrestling into a more interesting venue for storytelling, and being able to take different kinds of people, different voices, different ethnicities of people is just as important in wrestling as it is in other forms of pop culture, no matter what Comicsgate people say. You know, they might think that it's getting shoved down their throat. So what? Like, frankly, so what? You know, I don't feel bad that your voice, that has been the only voice in all of the things that I love, is now getting supplanted by other voices. It's not getting replaced. It's not getting drowned out. There's just supplemental voices. There's new people, new challenges, new stories to tell, and that's great. Nyla Rose, best of luck. I hope that you kick so much ass that people don't even know what to do with themselves. Talking a little bit about the NWA. I may have called it the NWO just a couple seconds ago. I'm not sure. But the NWA is doing their Crockett Cup tag team tournament. This is a return to, you know, the roots, the very roots of the NWA. They are partnering with Ring of Honor. It's going to be taking place in Concord, North Carolina on April 27th. And here's what's crazy. Jim Cornette will be doing color commentary for this with Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor and Joe Gali. Here's what's cool. Look, love him or hate him, Jim Cornette is a legend in the field. He is a guy that has done and been, and I mean, he is one of those people that is able to transcend generations and ideas and states of mind in wrestling while still being the curmudgeonly, get off my lawn sort of guy. It's awesome that he's going to be a part of this. I cannot wait to see what they do with the Crockett Cup. The NWA is phenomenal. I've been really enjoying what they're doing. If you aren't subscribed to their YouTube channel, I don't know what's wrong with you. Watch more independent wrestling. That's really all I have to say about that. Can't wait to listen to Jim Cornette's commentary on this show. I'm excited for the Crockett Cup. I am very excited for all of the things that the NWA are doing, and I will continue to cover them as though they are one of the major promotions, because you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I don't care that people think it's silly to love this old school promotion born again. I want to jump back into AEW just a little bit too and talk about their announced partnership with AAA, the Lucha organization in Mexico. They're going to have a working relationship, and they've already said that this relationship won't affect AAA's relationship with Impact. So all of these different moving parts, you know, you have all these different wrestlers that maybe are on contract one place but not another, or they are allowed to work between different spots. It can be very convoluted, and it can make it so that where you were watching a guy in one spot and now he's in a different spot and you don't know how to follow him. It's nice when all these different organizations figure out ways to work together. And I really hope that Ring of Honor and New Japan are able to work, you know, with AAA, with Impact, with AEW. And I know that a lot of them don't want to work together because they don't want to compete like with themselves effectively. But I think it can. I think this idea of, instead of territories, having smaller promotions that can joust against that juggernaut that is the WWE is a really good idea. And I think one of the ways that we're seeing it's a good idea is in the way that NXT and NXT UK and then future NXTs that are on their way, you know, according to rumor and innuendo, as it is said, and their relationships with like Progress and things like that. I think that Triple H has a really good grasp of that idea, this concept that if we make these smaller promotions that work with each other and don't necessarily compete with each other, you know, we can do something bigger and better. And I think some of the smaller promotions are starting to pick up on that too. I hope beyond hope that is what ends up happening. What's crazy about it is, to that effect, the NXT UK, and I know this was a few weeks ago, but I watched it and I don't want to miss out on talking it, but the NXT Takeover Blackpool, which was the NXT UK first pay-per-view, that moment when Walter, you know, who obviously had been reported quite a bit, had been signed to NXT, came out to confront Pete Dunne. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And what's great is, because of the way, you know, Progress and, you know, WWE through NXT have been working together, there's chances that we're still going to get to see him like at other events, just like we saw the Street Profits going to other promotions in the UK and winning tag team titles there and things like that. Like it's the kind of working together that will expand the sport and will expand people's, the more promos you have out there, the more promotions you have out there, the more chances that you give people to see something, the more somebody's eyes can get on it, maybe not even on purpose, and be sucked in, get excited, and then further promote the sport. Because the reality is if we want to keep watching good wrestling, we need to have more people watching wrestling and more people excited about wrestling, so that we don't get the same old tired bullshit that the WWE gives us, so that we don't get the same old storyline, plot line over and over again. As much as I love Becky Lynch, it's just Stone Cold Steve Austin with a lady. You know, she's doing it justice. That's all that matters. But don't retread it. And there's guys out there like Omega or like Jay White, or I mean, a dude like Pentagon. Pentagon's run in Lucha Underground was so like riveting, and the story was so cool, and that match with Vampiro, while not a well wrestled match because Vampiro is broken and old, you know, I hate to say it, the dude's beat up. I love him to death, but the dude's beat up. But he was able to go out there and through storytelling and ideas put on this phenomenal show that was just, I mean, I was glued to the set watching it. And we need more of that. We need more people drawn into the story, to the juice of the thing. And that's the kind of thing that promotions working together can create. It's awesome. I love that. I want to see more of it. I got one more thing of news, and then I'm going to talk about a local promotion that I got to go see last night that I've already talked about before, but I think they deserve as much love as I can give them. But let's talk for a little bit about The Undertaker removing all mention of the WWE from his social media. This is weird. You know, this is the phenom, the icon, the Hall of Famer, this guy that is and has been the WWE for almost as long as I can remember. For him to divorce himself in such a way from the WWE lends itself to rampant speculation. Is this some kind of work? Is this some kind of crazy thing building up to WrestleMania 35? He's not booked for 35. He's not booked for the next Saudi Arabia show. Let's imagine. I talk about fantasy booking every once in a while. Let's go to a magical world of Gabe fantasy booking. What if that first moment of Double or Nothing, Cody Rhodes comes out and says, I'm here to wrestle. I'm here to do this. I can't run the whole show. Please allow me to introduce our commissioner, Mark Calloway. You know, The Undertaker's real name. What if? It could be anything. But imagine, just imagine for 1 second what kind of coup that would be for All Elite Wrestling if somehow, and like that little seed has been planted in my brain by so many people asking for releases like the Revival, like Dean Ambrose, like the Canellises, like so many people feel like they're trying to pull away from the WWE and maybe go to this new thing, go to this exciting new thing that could be so much if it just gets done just the right way. Imagine for one glimmer of a second that one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, I can't overstate how iconic The Undertaker is to revolutionizing pro wrestling into sports entertainment if he shows up at Double or Nothing or on the first TV show for AEW. I can't. It would be phenomenal. I would lose my mind like I do with most things because I get overly excited and I understand that, but I can't help but speculate. So that's it. I'm done with my news. I'm done talking about stuff that I read on the internet. Let's talk about real deal life. Let's talk about New Era Wrestling. Denver, Colorado. New Era is local promotion. Like I said, not here in Denver, because I'm not technically in Denver, but I've been driving up to Denver once a month. This month's show was Heartbreak. It featured all sorts of great matches. I'm only going to touch base on a few that really, really stood out to me and why they were so great, why they were so exciting. But let's start with the opening match, Junsu versus Hunter Gray. So, if I could be blunt, Hunter Gray is probably the best thing going in New Era, in my opinion. He has the look, the persona, the excitement factor where he could literally go to any promotion and be successful. He is an over-the-top barbarian character. He is hilarious in the ring. He is super talented in the ring. He's got the build for it. He's got it all. Junsu, also an amazing wrestler, super fun to watch. And this is the first time I've ever seen the two of them wrestle against each other, to see the way that they can work the crowd through comedy, but also through excellent wrestling to just get everyone so invested in the show was absolutely the best way to kick off a show. The whole crowd was hyped by the end of the match, and it was genuinely one of the most fun things I've watched live. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. Great way to start off a show. You know, as I'm going forward, hopefully I'll get some interviews with these guys. I know I've talked about that quite a bit, and I know I've talked about some of the things that I'm planning, and I know I've dropped the ball, but I genuinely, this moment right now where I'm excited, I'm medicated, probably a weird thing to say in this podcast, but I'm working. I want to work it, and I'm wanting to talk to some of these guys, and I'd love to get Junsu, Hunter Gray, any of these guys on. Great match. So they have a plot line going. Obviously, if you're from out of state or you've never been a New Era, you don't know any of these people or any of these, these concepts or storylines. So there's a faction within New Era Wrestling called Vanity Inc., managed by a lady named Alexis Vane, who is hilarious and great. So one of the groups, like within the faction, there is a tag team that is Tony Morales, and let's look up his full name because it's a mouthful. Benjamin Frederick Nicholas Cumberbatch. All right, so they are these nasty, dastardly heels that basically came in with tag team titles last month, won them, and are getting ready to defend them. But the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Stephen Powers, basically said these are not official tag team belts. They defended them anyways against Delta Jr. and Rayo Plateado. And so this match was like lucha versus, wrestling. Okay. This went all over the place. High flying, hard hitting, some chops like you wouldn't believe. At the end of the match, Cumberbatch literally had a handprint slapped onto the back of his leg. There was a great four-way chop fest where it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and as they all stood up and super kicked each other and all went down. Great timing, great wrestling, just fun to watch, entertaining, super high energy. They kept the crowd going. Vanity Inc. went over, keeping these imaginary belts, right? So let's fast forward. Damian Payne, the War Dog, he is the New Era champion. 2 months ago, he won both the New Era championship and the 5280 belt, kind of like the difference between the WWE belt and the USA title, that sort of thing. And so they took the 5280 belt off of him because they didn't want, one person with two belts, and they decided to have a tournament over the last 2 months. And in one of the matches, it was the other member of Vanity Inc. versus Bruce Rogers. Okay, Bruce Rogers is this metal guy who is in a tag team called the Ragnarokers with Hunter Gray. So let's fast forward all the way to the end of this. Also, great match, hard hitting, super well sold. But Bruce Rogers goes over, and the other two guys in Vanity Inc. jump in the ring, start wailing on Bruce. And out comes Hunter Gray from behind the curtain. The whole crowd pops, right? Everybody goes nuts. And the guys in Vanity Inc. say, there's 3 of us and 2 of you. And Hunter ducks under the ring and pulls out his trusty battle axe. That's right, a battle axe. Like, he carries it around with him at the show. It's freaking hilarious. Also, he's amazing with children, but it's besides the point. He starts waving that around. Everybody runs out of the ring. This is freaking brilliant storytelling. It's funny. And next month, Vanity Inc.'s going to have to defend the title against the Ragnarokers, Bruce Rogers, and Hunter Gray. Super excited to see that. And, that's just a part of the storytelling, okay? So, we also have one of the 5280 tournament matches is a young high flyer named Logan Austin versus Dorian Richard within Primos and pretty much all of the other promotions. He's known as Filter. He's actually, as I'm recording this, he is currently the Primos champion. He is defending tonight at Primos's Bloodbath. So, by the time this releases on Monday, that may have changed. I hope not. Filter forever. But he's up against Logan Austin, this high flyer. They put on a freaking knockdown, drag out match. I mean, these two beat the snot out of each other. It was great. Logan Austin ended up going over, but I mean, this match was so much fun to watch. Filter's got that big power move, giant guy moveset, where Logan Austin has got that quick, nimble, off the top rope kind of thing. A lot of fun to watch. These guys put on a hell of a match. Just absolutely one of my favorite things to watch. The main event, let's talk about that a little bit. So Logan Austin, the War Dog, is or was the New Era champion. He was ambushed last month by Big Guns Justin Andrews and I don't want to say a friend, but a compatriot in they both are trying to get the belt, and so they chose that moment to attack him, Adrian Matthews. So this turns into a triple threat match. Of course, always exciting, hard hitting. Big Guns, the suplex party is a monster. I mean, dude, watching him drop people with suplexes looks ridiculous. I definitely do not want to be on the receiving end of one of those. Adrian, also a hard hitter, big guy, big buff dude. A lot of jokes going around about how he has a Nick Kroll face, so there was a dude calling him Buff Nick Kroll in the crowd. And of course, War Dog Damian Payne is genuinely a great wrestler, was super fun to watch, and just a tough dude. Okay. So the three of them going to town, when a returning Jay Sin jumps into the ring, takes out Big Guns, which allows Adrian to get the pin on the War Dog, taking the belt. We see a title transfer, and of course this turns into a new story for Big Guns, as well as a chance for Adrian to display his incredible heel skills. My daughter we were sitting front row, my daughter went to get a high five, and he went halfway to do it, pulled away, said no thank you. Total dick move. Absolutely perfect. It was phenomenally good. This show, I'm telling you, man, if you have a local wrestling promotion in your area, I mean, and I drive an hour once a month to go see it. This cost me $10 a person. It's cheaper than going to the movies by a long shot. This is so much fun. If you like pro wrestling, you need to be going to your local promotion. You need to be going and watching these guys, these independent wrestlers who are just out there trying to entertain a crowd and have a blast, and just the people you're going to meet. I met a guy that has done photography for NXT and has done photography for New Era. He was really interesting to talk to. I met one of the other wrestlers for another local promotion that was telling me this guy's stiff and this guy was so fun to wrestle and this guy was not fun to wrestle, that sort of thing. So much great stuff is happening in the world of pro wrestling in your area. You may not think it is, but it is happening there. You need to get out. You need to find it. You need to go have a blast like I did. I took me and 3 kids and it was $40. It was awesome. You need to go out and do that. But it's about that time, getting close to that half an hour mark. I'm really going to try to keep these episodes down to a half an hour. So with that said, you can find us on all the social medias, facebook.com/momwrestlingpod. Of course, you can go to our Twitter account, at Mondays Podcast. You can find us on the internet, mondayspod.com. I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up on Twitter. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I know I've dropped the ball over the last month and some, but we're starting back up. We're getting it going. I'm going to get this done. I love doing this show. It is so much fun. And I hope you have fun with wrestling too. Till next time, I am Gabe Giannis, and this has been a month of Mondays.
Just ladies, let's go teach ya.